think this is the right one. I think this is the right one. Okay, we good to go. But yes, no, we were having a little bit of technical difficulties. You know what I'm saying? That's quite normal. But how you doing, Ray? What's going on with you?
I'm good. I'm good. Just got back from the gym, feeling good. Went to Vegas. That was
Oh,
fun.
did you
Didn't
gamble?
I did not. I did not. Everyone asked did you win anything and but I didn't lose anything either. So,
Well, okay, shit. I mean, honestly, that is a win for going to Vegas. I personally am I don't really know how to gamble. I don't have a gambling personality, I feel like. Cause like as soon as I just lose something for no reason, it's a wrap. You know what I'm
right.
saying? Like it's really over. Um, but we're here today to talk a little bit about the elections yesterday and some of the implications. And I think that a good uh topic for us is really to talk about coalition building and how we can move forward and get people in office across different levels of government. But also, I think that where I'm at in my life now and my career is I'm starting to, just branch off into different areas and get more like tangibly involved with the process. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? The more I'm kind of seeing that the progressive movement naturally there's always work to be done, but the progressive movement kind of in my opinion needs somewhat of a culture shift into I feel like we've done a good job at making ourselves seen and heard. Now we have to get in office.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like we just do. There's only so much effectiveness that you can have by always pointing your finger at the Democrats and saying, you know, look, because of you. Now, and I think too, like I'm 31, like all people in our generation, Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, pretty much all three are in a position to be in leadership. So I think that last night's election results, are definitely promising in terms of us being like, okay, the whole country isn't completely out of its damn mind.
All right.
And so those are kind of my thoughts on what we need to do. So first, what are your initial thoughts on just some of the election results? Kentucky, Rhode Island, Philly, first woman mayor.
Mhm.
What was it? Virginia. Now they got the Senate and the House. State House is blue. Then we got shit. Teachers boards, all types
Mhm.
of shit. So, what are your initial thoughts?
Well, first I'll say I know these elections are less sexy to people. Yeah, people talk about them a lot less than we talk about. There was one race for federal office, but it was a special election you mentioned in Rhode Island. Pretty much it was a done deal that the Democrat was gonna win. It wasn't really up in the air. So that did happen. But everything else was state and local, right?
Mhm.
And it's important to pay attention to these races, not just because they're really good indicators for how things are going to go um, come 2024, but because most of these races were essentially referendums on abortion rights. Ohio explicitly, but Kentucky, Andy Bashir's race was absolutely a referendum on abortion rights, as was the Virginia Senate race. And they didn't just continue; they didn't just maintain their majority in the Senate. They expanded it, as you mentioned, at the House of Delegates. And people not paying attention as much as I would like, but I'm glad we're talking about it because it's a lot easier to affect change at these smaller levels, at the school board level, mayoral level, right, at the state level. And we saw, again, it's not a time where people are being told every few minutes that they need to vote, right? It's not a presidential race. But people came out in massive numbers to protect abortion rights, and this is a really bad indicator for Republicans who have made repealing abortion their entire platform. They got everything they ever wanted, and they're going to lose electorally because of it, because abortion is popular. People love protecting abortion. They want to come out and they want to fucking protect it. And that's what happened.
Mhm.
So great results. obviously, like I said, explicitly in Ohio, they were literally voting on enshrining abortion protections, essentially into their constitution. They also legalized marijuana in Ohio. Took them a long time, but they finally did it.
They did.
And so, yeah, huge night. Very, very successful for the Democrats. Obviously, the Mississippi gubernatorial race, I don't think anyone really expected the Democrat to win. I thought, maybe because he's Elvis Presley's second
Could
cousin,
have
but
still had some, or maybe it's Elvis. That rumor being true. He like reincarnated himself or something
right.
like that. Put his soul in another body like Palpatine or something. But he still, I mean, I guess you could. He still did. He didn't get slaughtered, I guess.
Right.
But it's Mississippi. But I think that you're 100% right. At the end of the day, in my opinion, I think the reversal of Roe v. Wade was possibly the single biggest political mistake of modern times,
Right.
because they can't just change it. They can't take it back. It's not just the reversal. It's also, as you pointed out, these state legislatures really go against their constituencies once. Like Republican voters typically don't want that 6-week ban because it's extreme. And I don't care how conservative you are. Women who have had sex before are probably going to be like, I don't know, because you know how shit goes sometimes. You know what I'm saying? You know how it goes.
Right.
Sometimes there's just so much nuance with being an adult and having a sex life.
It's also
So
men who have had sex before who don't want to have to raise a baby, right?
yeah,
I think they
yeah,
always sort of like underplay how much a lot of guys don't want to be fathers because they fucked somebody one time.
yeah. And even if you feel like you're with somebody that like I could potentially, I think we could do a good job raising somebody, don't mean now's the right time to do it,
Right.
you know? So it really is an extreme position. And the craziest thing is, again, just to point out that the state legislatures are adamant about pushing these bans. That is going to hurt Republicans' election chances for years to come. Because again, it's not going anywhere.
Right.
It's an easy differentiation between the Democrats and the Republicans. And also too, weed, legalizing marijuana, that's always going to be a winning issue. But I guess it's not surprising. Republican reactions to the losses that I've seen, it hasn't been, well, maybe, well, Ann Coulter, she says that, she came out and she was like that abortion's a losing issue. So I guess that's one. But Rick Santorum, he was on TV and he was like, direct democracy, that's just not how it's done. We can't run a country with direct democracy, Newsmax people on there are like, oh, this marijuana thing, yikes, this country really.
I'm sorry, being anti-weed in 2023, almost 2024, is such an insane position to hold to me. Like,
It
you
really
lost that
is.
battle, okay? People wanted weed real bad, and you lost that fucking battle.
And there's so much money to be made in it too. Like just
Right.
and too, like especially from a tax perspective, the more tax dollars we can collect from recreational and medical marijuana, the less taxes we have to raise on the super wealthy. I mean, like if you want to look at it like that, it's really a benefit to everyone. But
Right.
again, it's not like maybe we should change this up. Kayleigh McEnany, she was saying how, we're not wording the pro-life movement. We're just not wording it right. Like, no, it's just a losing issue.
Yeah.
That's it. And
Mhm.
it's been a losing issue. Roe v. Passed, that was what, 1971 or something like that, 1972, I think, for quite some time. So it's like the Republican Party stabbed themselves in the side
Right.
and they're trying to go forward with it. And that really, honestly, to me, is a bigger issue than Donald Trump.
And it's interesting because when when the decision came down, there was less agreement on abortion at that time, right? It was more of a contentious issue. But now, the reversal of Roe comes at a time where abortion is popular in every single state, including red states. A majority of people support Roe protections. Even the most conservative state, and I think that plays a little bit into the myth of states' rights that was the justification, right, for part of the justification for the reversal of Roe.
Mhm.
And what the Republicans have been harping on for years is that it's more democratic if we give it back to the states to make these decisions, which is fundamentally not true because it's the state legislators by and large that get to make these decisions, and they're doing it not at the behest of the people they're supposed to be representing, but completely juxtaposed to what the people they're supposed to be representing want, which
Which was what the
is
whole point of Roe was.
right, exactly. So
Mhm.
so what they're seeing, and it's in, like you pointed out, that they think that they just need to change the messaging. We covered a story a few months ago on TYT about, it's so funny how the Republicans are now saying that their messaging, they had a closed door meeting, congressional Republicans, and they were saying that their messaging needs to be that we're for sensible abortion rights, right? We're for up to the point of viability. And it's like what they're now running on is Roe. And it's
Yeah,
not going to work.
exactly,
It's not going
exactly,
to work.
exactly. And you know how quickly, if I mean, when are we going to get something like that back through the Supreme Court? I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, when the hell is that going to happen? And
And the
ironically,
Supreme Court, they would be receptive, right,
right.
to it.
And too, with well, one of the things that you just pointed out too is the whole states' rights things, you know, because it was states' rights, but then now, you know, I don't know about these ballot measures. I don't know about this direct democracy bullshit,
Right.
man. You know, because that's a little too much democracy. And again, um it's such a losing issue. One of the panels, they were like, you know, it's weird. She said it's weird to see people show up to the polls for abortion and marijuana. You'd think that they'd show up to the polls for the economy. And it's like people do go first. That's like that's the biggest reason people go to the polls
Right.
by and large is because of their pocketbook, in one form or fashion. And two, that's what was on the ballot. So what are you talking about? Like abortion and marijuana is what was on the ballot. So that's what people are going to go vote for. But you know, no matter where you look, the oh, look at the kitty. Say hello to the kitty. He is it a he or a she?
She Miss Kitty is her name.
Oh, well, look at that. I was close. Miss Kitty. Miss Kitty said, "Nah, let me go. You can only hold me when I want you to hold me." You know what I'm saying? Or you know, just stuff like this. You know what I'm saying? Um,
And this is
far
what you hope for, right? This is the headline that I hope to wake up and see.
yes, you know, like and again, it's like the issues that Republicans are losing on are all of them are ridiculous. All of them are so blatantly unwanted by the public. And we're just talking right now, all we're talking about is abortion. Pretty pretty much all we're talking about is abortion. But then you have just the whole rest of the Republican brand. You know, if you're black, fuck you. If you're Latina, Hispanic, fuck you. If you're gay, fuck you. If you like pretty much if you're everything except for a very tiny shrinking group in the country, then fuck you. And that simply isn't helping them. And what do you think about this? One of the things that I've been considering and thinking about, especially after this last set of Democratic losses, Trump back candidate, what was his name? Brian Cameron, was that his name? He just lost. Um, I'm struggling to see how Donald Trump is going to put together a competent general election campaign.
Right.
I don't know how. I know, like seriously, like you know, and again, too, the Democrats continue to overperform in the polls um, because of these issues. But look at his defense right now. You know, you got Alina Habba. I think this is her first trial that she's had. You know, she's yelling and calling Letitia James stupid and talking about, oh, you ran for governor and you didn't win. So look at those numbers. You know, not getting him a jury. He doesn't pay people.
Right.
Who's gonna really want to work with him? You know, I don't. It's difficult to see him being able to put together a campaign that's worth anything. And just imagine how crazy he's gonna get when his federal trials and shit start. Isn't this first one in March?
Yep.
Yeah, and they've got all of that down. But I think that realistically, I think that Biden's biggest challenge will be definitely the Muslim American community in the swing states. This Israel Gaza situation is, I mean, that's primarily going to be his biggest problem, more likely than not. Is people who are most attached to that issue. Other than that, I mean, what are we really talking about? You know what I'm saying? The
Yeah.
economy's better than it was under Trump. I mean, what else? What are we really? What else are we really talking about?
Right. That and crime is down, right? That's the other big Republican sticking point. They love to be able to capitalize on a moment where there's a, insurgence of crime, but it's down in almost every major city. Despite, the what local news is saying and all of the sensationalism of sensationalizing of these smash and grabs at like Nordstrom's or whatever, or no matter what they say about San Francisco, like violent crime is down. And so they can't really run on that either. Also, Biden is not the Democrat that you want to be running against as a law and order Republican, which Trump is not. And he can't really do that effective messaging when he's got to take his ass to court every other day, right? It's definitely going to impede his ability to run a national campaign. But you're exactly right about Biden's shortcomings. He's down compared to Trump in every swing state except for Wisconsin. But if you run any other unnamed Democrat in all of those states, they outperform Biden by like upwards of 6 points. They're beating Trump by like 4, 5, 6 points as well. So, it's difficult. I don't think Biden is a particularly strong candidate, but he's running against Trump, who's also not a particularly strong candidate. And there's still a Republican primary. They're dropping like flies, but it doesn't matter. We know it's going to be Trump. There's no contest. And we're lucky for that, right? Because if it was someone like Nikki Haley, she would sweep Biden.
Yeah,
She would. And if the Republican Party was smart, they're not, and they're so beholden to the Trump agenda now and to their MAGA constituents. But if they
he
were
destroyed them.
right, absolutely, because they could easily win this election. They could handedly win this election.
Yeah,
But with Trump as a candidate, it's going to be a lot more difficult, especially if he goes to fucking jail, right? Before
which he can't stop tempting fate. You know
right.
what I'm saying? I'll be talking about. It's like I've never seen a man who's more of his own worst enemy in my life ever. Be like, bro, all you have to do is be quiet and you'll win, but you can't do it.
Right.
It's really amazing to see. Yeah, and the more I step back too, because like at the end of the day, incumbent polling, I think it represents because Biden's been in office for several years now, so it represents just his overall job, what people feel about it. But at the end of the day, you know, if that's who we got and the opposing person is Trump, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just another election in America, like it always is.
Hmm.
It's just close. It's whoever can bring the swing voters over. Because look, at the end of the day, it's like Biden can address this issue. We'll have to see what he does. He could stand and say he'd like a ceasefire. I don't know what exactly he's going to do. We'll find out. He has time. But when it really comes down to it, I don't, like he may shed some voters, but like people who vote, I don't see them not voting over Trump. Like I don't see it. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, and the reason I say that is because it's just the same shit as it always is. It's one vote, Democrat versus Republican. That's what it always comes down to. And like, while their stakes are high in this election, it's like, what's really different? You know,
Right.
like, well, at least in my opinion, the media, does a lot of but like, like it's Biden versus Trump. Um,
All right. And like I think it would be nice to see if that this pressure campaign, because like we're a year out from the election. I'm not going to tell anybody, right, like you need to vote for Biden right now. We're not,
yeah,
it's not, we're
yeah,
not a month out from the election. All right. It's not November 2024. It's November 2023. And people should be allowed to loudly voice their opposition to Biden as a candidate.
they should. That's what pushes people in the right direction.
So like the
Yeah,
continuous pressure on Biden, the bad polling, I don't necessarily think that the Democratic Party is sensible or acts reasonably, but I'm hoping they can see the writing on the walls, you know, or I mean, but short of Biden dying, I don't see them running anybody else. They would be smart to. I mean, fuck, put Gretchen Whitmer as your candidate. You've won the election today.
Well, let's talk about that though, because I think that this is really just a hypothetical situation. I mean, at the end of the day, somebody would have to be in a position to actually seem like they're ready to take his place. Because if he were to just drop out, like that would be that would it would just be chaos. It would just be it would so like that would have to be heavily orchestrated. Like they would
Yeah,
have to really be prepared to be like, I'm going to drop out so that we can make way for this person. Otherwise, it's just going to be Democratic factions all over the place.
right,
But at the end of the day, I think what's really hopeful and what's really good is that in these smaller elections we're seeing victories, and for me that's very positive for progressives.
right.
I think it's very positive for progressives. Um, and one of the things that I've really been harping on is, again, I think progressives often don't realize how little of a threat we pose to the Democratic Party because we don't have any skin in the game. And that has to change. And that's so much that's a lot of what my mission is going to be going forward. Look, if you don't want to vote for Biden, guess what? There's a whole lot of other elections. There's a whole lot of other people voting. You can go up to the polls and vote for your left shoe. I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? But look, at the end of the day, we can complain about the Democrats, but are we running people? Who are we running? Who
Right.
are we putting up? So if we're not running people, and a huge chunk of our movement doesn't vote anyway, then when every election comes up and we say we're not going to vote, the Democrats are like, okay, you motherfuckers don't vote anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I'm excited to move forward just with a lot of the opportunities that progressives have to get our asses in office, because what's on the other side? This is on the other side.
Right.
You know,
Moms for Hitler. Like,
yeah, like let's ban books. Let's literally be violent towards the LGBTQ community. Let's take women's rights away from them. Let's get these bitches back in the kitchen. You know what I'm
right.
saying? Like
Right.
that's on the other side. And realistically, the establishment Democrats are they're 80. You feel me?
Right. They're about to start dropping like flies, let's be honest.
Literally. Literally. So I just think that there's really a lot of opportunity. And two, let's see, some of these ones got a couple of others to bring up. Hold on one sec. Here we go. And we got these again, like pretty. Now I'm hoping for him because he has some celebrity status. For Salam, I don't know exactly what his policy positions are in full, but I'm hoping that he's able to draw some attention to some important issues.
Mhm.
But overall, Republicans got their asses kicked last night.
Oh yeah, they got whooped. Particularly cuz I don't think that there was high expectations. Let's talk about Virginia for a second.
Yeah.
For the Democrats to take the House of Delegates, right? Their state equivalent to House of Representatives. The expectation was it was going to be a tight race to keep the Senate, but that really isn't how it panned out. They pretty handedly won, maintain the Senate, and then they also slyly also stole back the House of Delegates, and
And that's
that
all abortion, right? That was pretty much
yes,
all abortion
was
because of
abortion.
Glenn Youngkin.
Because Democrat controlled Senate was the only thing preventing extreme abortion restrictions from being signed into law into Virginia, and uh, it's a losing issue for the Republicans. But that is what they ran on, and then wouldn't you know it, they lost.
Yeah, and I'm about to play these two clips real quick again. How are Republicans responding to this? How exactly are they addressing this? Let's check this out. So I think I mentioned Rick Santorum where he was talking about direct democracy isn't the way to go.
Hmm.
So here's Rick Santorum right here, and this is like I think this was last night. So this is either really early this morning or last night when all of this shit was coming through.
Let's bring it back here to our panel now. So we're looking at obviously the issues of abortion and marijuana in the state of Ohio now. Now 50%, over 50% of the country has legalized marijuana. Senator, you look at these issues that are driving the left out to vote. You would think the economy, crime, illegal immigration, those would be some of the issues driving people out when you look at so many who are unsatisfied with the direction the country
And this is what I was saying. Like,
is headed in.
What do you mean?
But apparently that's not
Right.
Remember, these elections, off-year elections, odd-number elections, are very low turnout elections. They are base elections. And the Democrats have traditionally, number one, outspent us, not just in odd-number year elections, but generally speaking, number one. And number two, their base is more ginned up to go out and vote generally than Republicans.
No, it's not. And again, that's not true at all. The Democratic base is not normally more ginned up to go vote.
Right.
And what do you money? Y'all didn't spend enough money? That's why you lost. You feel me? Like
We've seen this now for the last several years. And so a base election,
since Donald Trump got elected,
they Democrats outspend, and you put very sexy things like abortion and marijuana on the ballot, and a lot of young people come out and vote. It was a secret sauce for disaster in Ohio. I don't know what they were thinking, but that's why I thank goodness that most of the states in this country don't allow you to put everything on the ballot, because pure democracies are not the way to run a country.
So then to the senator's point, where
and even at that, it's like they don't put everything on the ballot. They put certain key issues on the ballot. So you said all of that, and then at the very end of it, basically what you admitted is the issues you run on are losing issues. That's basically what you admit towards the very end. And then this is what I was referring to, the anti-weed, where he was like, yikes, this was it right here. Hold up.
Also on the ballot in Ohio, state legalization of recreational marijuana. Results are still coming in there, but that one could also pass tonight if things continue trending in that direction. Supporters said that they hoped that it would mean folks with various medical conditions had easier access to marijuana and alleviating their pain. Opponents tell me they're concerned this could be bad for workplaces, for employers, and also for folks that are worried about what the safety on the roads could be, and children potentially accessing marijuana as well if their parents have easier access to using.
All of a sudden, everybody just gonna be high as hell drinking. All of a sudden,
I started smoking weed when I was 13 years old, and I'm a lawyer now. So
it worked out. You know what I'm saying? It worked out. And it's such fake concern too. Like, what are you really afraid of? And it's so old, because younger Republicans want weed to be legal.
That drug. Greg.
Alana Austin, and actually I got a computer right here, Alana, and it looks like the marijuana thing passed, and so did the abortion, enshrining abortion rights. Yikes, the marijuana thing, we have just unthinkingly as a country embraced that. Wow. All right. More on that.
I'm sorry. I just don't even believe that the Newsmax audience is as anti-weed as the hosts are pretending to be. I'm not buying it. Like, it's such a losing issue now.
No, it really is. And I was making fun of this dude the other day, because like every time you freeze frame him, it doesn't matter where you go, he looks like a caricature of a news person. But like it's so about yikes, like Americans have been tricked into smoking
abortion
weed.
rights.
No one's ever done it before.
The marijuana thing, we have just unthinkingly as a country embraced that. Wow. All right. More on that as the night goes forward. Hey.
Okay, so now let's check out. We're gonna check out a couple more links just with some of these reactions. Hold up real quick. Let me bring these up. But also too, that's just a sign that they're going to keep on becoming more authoritarian. No accountability, no personal responsibility. It's just we got to make it harder for motherfuckers to vote.
Right, and that's I mean, they're saying the quiet part out loud. That's been the Republican position for decades. For
Mm-hmm.
decades, they've been trying to make it harder for people to vote because they know that, once everybody is fully enfranchised, and if we do put things like this to, create ballot measures, ballot initiatives, that they're never going to win on an issue ever again. And that's just the truth. I mean, and there are issues, right, with how ballot measures work because of the ability for outside groups, the same way, the same way we see in elections, to push massive propaganda campaigns. And we saw that here in Illinois when we couldn't pass the fair tax amendment because of the billionaires buying up as much ad time as possible to lie to people about what the ballot measure really meant. But, we also have that 60% threshold that you need to pass or in order to change the way that we do taxes here in Illinois. So thankfully, Ohio, when they went to the polls,
Yeah, they was like, fuck that. 'Cause that was
right.
the first thing they did.
Mhm.
And again, like, there's issues and we got to fix things, but that doesn't mean, oh, well, fuck democracy. Fuck democracy totally.
Right.
Because we don't want these bitches having had that's, and it's so crazy because when you can joke about it like that, but that's all it is. You know what I'm saying? Like that, like bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks is literally like a Republican motto. Like it's one of their it's what they do. Hold on, your camera froze.
It did. I'm still here.
It's all good. She froze in her sexy pose. You know what I'm saying? Look, we both like this now. There, I had to be quiet for a few seconds because I'm a freeze frame that. All right, here we go. Now, Trump throws Daniel Cameron under the bus. Of course, he couldn't lose the stench of Mitch McConnell. Mrs. Just, and again, the disarray. So now, and you have to think too, because Republicans just got their asses kicked last night. Yeah, man, man, a lot of them going, not necessarily the voting base, but they're going to turn up the pressure of fuck Donald Trump. They're
Right.
going to turn that pressure up. We're watching the Republican Party completely fall apart. And what, like how you said, they could put somebody up and they could beat Joe Biden relatively easily, but they're terrified of being primaried, even though they know that Donald Trump's chances of winning election are not strong. They're just not. He's not a strong candidate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's see what he had to say. Okay, oh, he had quite a lot to say apparently. Okay, so here's what he said. What was this on Truth Social?
It must have been.
Yeah, because I don't think he
That's the only place he's posting.
yeah. So he says,
Daniel Cameron lost because he couldn't alleviate the stench of Mitch McConnell. I told him early that's a big burden to overcome,
declared Trump on Truth Social Wednesday morning.
McConnell and Mitt Romney are kryptonite for Republican candidates. I moved up 25 points, but the McConnell relationship was too much to bear. Tate Reeves, on the other hand, surged to a win for governor in Mississippi after my involvement. Congratulations to Tate. Oh, yes, my involvement in Mississippi worked, but my involvement in Kentucky, that had nothing to do with me. That's because of Mitch McConnell.
I love that. He was like, I'm gonna take credit in Mississippi for my involvement, and then I'm just gonna somehow say that my involvement in Kentucky, it wasn't my fault.
Doesn't count.
Wasn't my fault. Doesn't count. Just forget about Kentucky. That's all on Mitch.
Yeah, but a state where a Republican would win no matter what. You feel me? Like no matter what the issue is, that's all me. But
God could run as a Democrat in Mississippi. God's not winning an election.
Jesus Christ could run, and he ain't. No, man. But again, it's like who Trump is his biggest problem.
Right.
Because the Republicans just got their asses kicked, man. And this is what he's doing. And then every day in court, he's losing in court. Like, man, this country, what a country we live in. What the fuck is going on? Okay, so, does he have more to say? Or is this him?
Wow, Daniel Cameron of Kentucky has made a huge surge now that they see my strong endorsement and the fact that he's not really a McConnell guy.
This is what he said Saturday before the election.
They only try to label him that because he comes from the great state of Kentucky. Anyway, go Daniel. Great future for you and your state. You will bring it to new levels of success, and I will help you.
A few days later.
Right. Not exactly how that panned out, was it, Donald Trump?
right. A few days later, oh no, 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 no. The stench of Mitch McConnell, not the stench of Donald Trump, who has 91 felonies, and
Right.
not me. Couldn't be me.
Donald Trump, who has already been found liable for committing fraud in New York and is now fighting for his life for the ability to continue doing business in the state of New York.
Literally,
Him and his fucking kids.
already found liable of fraud, and comes out every day and says fuck you to the people who are going to decide his fate. You
Right.
feel me? Yeah, that couldn't be him.
Truly the most inexplicable legal defense I've ever seen in my life. Like, just attacking the judge, routinely attacking the law clerks, which the judge has said that he's made clear he feels very protective over his law clerks and isn't going to fucking take that shit. He's been sanctioned by the court now. His attorneys have been sanctioned by the court now. And I mean, the attorneys he hired are people he saw defending him on Newsmax and OAN. That is literally how he ended up hiring them. It is that, and they're not good at their jobs. They're
No.
bad attorneys.
And that's what his general election campaign is going to be, because even if you have everything to gain from the Republican agenda, just wait till 2028. You know, no one in their right mind is going to attach their name to Donald Trump at this point. For
Right.
what? You know, you have more to gain. Look, corporate America has so much more to gain with Joe Biden for another 4 years than with Donald Trump. You know, at this point. And again, every day that it's like every time you see Trump come out in court and say all these things, it's like, I really am in disbelief. I'm like, what is wrong with this dude? Just shut the fuck up. But he can't. Like, he literally can't. And yeah, man. And his whole strategy, his whole defense is, come on, just let me off. Come on.
His defense in the documents case is the funniest to me. He's like, everybody keeps documents. Every president does it. And like, the issue is not that you took documents with you, motherfucker. It's that when the National Archives asked for them back, you were like, fuck you. I'm never giving these documents
I
back.
like to tap my foot against the boxes while I'm on my golden toilet.
You know what I'm saying?
He's literally like, well, when I go to the bathroom, I need to do a little light reading of tactical invasion plans of Iran. So, like,
Just
come
in
on,
case,
it's not
you know.
fair. You can't take away my reading materials, folks. I need to show these to Kid Rock when he comes around my
Right.
place.
When we shoot Bud Light cans and shit, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? I mean, bro, like, and how many people do you think that he just randomly told secrets to because he thought it would make him look cool?
Right.
Like, this dude is but again, what an indictment on the country. Like, seriously, how the fuck did this dude become president? Like, it's unbelievable because he's so undeserving of it. I was talking about the other day how Donald Trump is like he's such a low grade, low tier despot. He's such a he's a fake dictator. He's a TV host. That's what he is.
It's not even like the emperor has no clothes. It's like the emperor has been naked since he stepped out the womb. Never put clothes
real.
on ever. This man's always been a public fraud.
Literally.
now legally been held accountable for fraud, but like he was always just a clown, a game show host, right? And he just really tapped into the bigotry and resentment that people were feeling while also simultaneously in bad faith. And he had smart people behind him the first time, right?
Yeah.
He had evil but smart people behind
Mhm.
him, pushing him and telling him what to say, and it worked. And I just, I hope that people are smarter than they were then, and I hope that
We gonna find out.
we'll find out, right? Unfortunately,
We gonna find out. That's why I've been telling everybody: go touch grass, go see a movie, go hang out with a loved one, go find something else to do for a year. You feel me? Let it be these people's problems. But yeah, because again, like most other like despots and dictators, a lot of them, you boil them down. A lot of them are pathetic when it boils down to the root of it. But you look at them and they're like 30-ish, 40-ish.
yeah.
Actual military experience will actually beat you up, will actually kill you. You feel me? Like, or they're smart, or they're, and most importantly, they have real political aspirations. He has none. Okay, so what's Nikki Haley? What's she talking about? Hold on. Okay, so they sent out this memo. So it says, after Republicans suffered big losses in the 2022 midterms, the pattern continues 1 year later. Whether it's a purple state like Virginia, a leaning red state like Ohio, or a deep red state like Kentucky, the election results last night were bad for Republicans. It continued. We all know that Donald Trump struggles against Joe Biden in 2024, while Nikki Haley easily defeats Biden. In fact, Haley is the only candidate to lead Biden outside of a margin of error in a recent CNN poll. She is +9 against Biden in the New York Times Siena poll of battleground states, while Trump is +3. It's the worst kept secret in politics. All right, so she went after Trump and she went after DeSantis, which she's running for election. So, I mean, she should be. But
Right.
still, I think we're going to see a lot more of this.
And it's funny because excuse me, Miss Kitty, your tail's in my face. I need you to move. You're going to make me sneeze. It's funny because Nikki Haley is not going to be the president of the United States, right?
Yeah.
Definitely not this time around. Probably not ever.
Mhm.
I strongly dislike Nikki Haley for a myriad of reasons that I feel like is kind of pointless to get into now. But she's that's what I was saying earlier. She's a much better candidate than Donald Trump. She is, for all of her heinous qualities, she's soft-spoken and comes across non-aggressive. She comes across reasonable. And if you listen to what she's actually saying, she's an extremely unreasonable person who holds exceptionally bigoted views. But she comes across to the average person who's not going to look that deep into it as a normal person who they would have no problem getting behind, especially the low propensity, quote unquote independent voters who they need to get to the polls. That's why she would be so much more successful.
She would be somebody they could ignore, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Someone who they would think, well, if I vote for her for president, I get to do my part and vote for a Republican, and I don't have to feel bad about it, and I don't have to worry that we're going to, I don't have to pay attention to the news as much, right? She's just going to be the president, and it's not going to affect my life that much. And I mean, and that's kind of what a lot of people want, right? And that's scary. They should be more active and more involved in decisions that are going to impact their lives. But people aren't, and that's why she polls better. She's less offensive. She doesn't have a million indictments against her, although there are some funky campaign contribution issues and some weird reportings between her and her husband's involvement with the military industrial complex. But they love that. I'm sorry, the political establishment loves those murky relationships with mega donors and super PAC funders. So that's never something the media is going to hold her accountable for.
Definitely. And two, she's just like somebody who she has qualities about her that they could run with, like you said, but also, being a woman and what have you.
Right.
But the most important thing, I think, and you pointed this out, is people kind of want to not pay attention. And not that that's like everyone, like people don't care about the issues, but more so like people are like want to tune out. Like people are tired, people are exhausted.
Right.
And they just kind of want to go back to their normal lives. But unfortunately, we really don't live in times like that.
I was going to make a joke that if Donald Trump wins election, it's going to be really bad for America, but really good for us who talk about politics.
Right. Because, man, it's going to be shit. We're going to have to move to another country and talk about this shit.
Like this next year is going to and it's every time there's a big presidential election, but people all of a sudden give a shit, right? And views skyrocket and clicks go up. And I would much rather have low views and normal people running for political office.
Than having views because we telling everybody to leave this state, leave that state, get the hell out of here. But again, I mean, what if Trump wins? He's just going to be on a spite vendetta. That's all he's going to do. That's because what else does he have left? What else does the man have left? All right, we got a couple more. Another crushing defeat. Steve Bannon melts down. What does he say? We didn't sell the racism hard enough. We didn't do it right.
The Murdoch News Network threw in the towel this morning on their fantasy of running Glenn Youngkin against Donald Trump after the debacle you're going to see tonight. The Keebler elves are all finished. Youngkin was next up. That's gone. The reality here, Trump delivers MAGA. MAGA delivers victories. This was a turnout issue about MAGA, and the reason is the Jeff.
What about Kentucky?
Froze of the world and the billionaire donors with the hapless, feckless RNC failed to get our people out. End of story. John Solomon is going to join us in a moment to get into this and what the reality is for 2024. The MAGA delivers victories. Okay? The Keebler elves, as I said, everybody in that station.
Nobody is saying we lost because of the issues.
Right.
No, none of them are saying that.
Night combined.
We need more Donald.
On their best day, combined, will never deliver 74 million votes in a presidential election. This Glenn Youngkin fantasy just flipped after MAGA delivered Youngkin's vote. It was the overperformance of MAGA in that gubernatorial race that delivered Youngkin his victory. And what did the billionaire class do right away? And what does Jeff Rowe and the super PACs, all these guys skimming the money off the top? They immediately start to get these Mitt Romney clones. They defeated every MAGA candidate in the primary. Okay, they're whining last night in the Senate. Oh, it's the redistricting. You lost the redistricting. Stand up and fight on the redistricting. I want to hear the sob stories out of Virginia this morning. Oh, it's the redistricting. Of course. And what did you guys do? Did you fight? No, you did one of these bipartisan commissions. You know why? Because you're all pencil necks. This is what a red vest gets you. Don't come here this morning and start.
Just take it, goddammit.
I mean, he's like
whining about
explicitly
abortion,
calling for them to violate, Supreme Court orders to to change racially discriminatory redistricting.
Fuck the law. Just take shit from people.
Right.
Again, because but that's what they want. Like they want to be in control. They want to domineer. That's what they want. And that's why they lose.
Stand up and do your job. Get in the trenches and fight. You bunch of feckless, hapless, and this super PACs and Jeff Rowe delivers another crushing defeat, skimming 20%. I hope the fat cat billionaires down at the Cavalier Hotel. I could rub your noses in this every second of every day for a week. You brought this on. And your fantasy all about stopping Trump.
What?
Youngkin and what remains.
They just want to win.
The Keebler elves on their best day could not deliver 74 million votes, and 74 million votes won the 2020 election. You can see the polling right now. There's no 81 million votes. Spare me.
What?
I don't have time for nonsense. I got Solomon coming up.
So how many votes did Biden get then?
Right.
73 million? Like what he's talking about 74 million, but what Trump got, but what Biden got, give me a break. Like, so how okay.
He's hot on this topic.
I have no time for nonsense, but this motherfucker keeps talking about Keebler elves. What?
Keebler elves, and again, it's just a continuation of the lost cause. Just, I mean, you sitting there talking about 74 million. Who cares? It wasn't enough. It wasn't enough votes. Like, you lost.
Right.
Like, who gives a fuck? We scored 105 in that final, but the other team scored 110. Who gives a damn? Like,
topic. And by the way, there has to be massive changes to RNC today. These clowns down there in Miami putting on this phony debate and sucking up more money and more opportunity costs away from Trump, and what we ought to be focused on a ground game to get the vote out and to make sure that election fraud, that we're getting all the fraud. Everybody said, oh gosh, they turned over the Senate and the House to Virginia. We're not going to get any election integrity. Will you please spare me? You think the people that didn't fight on redistricting are going to sit there and fight on election integrity?
He's so full of shit. He's so full of shit because he's not stupid. You feel me? Like, he's not a dumb. He's not a dumb guy. He knows that this shit just isn't popular. Like, it's not more complicated than that. He knows people just don't want this bullshit. That's it.
Right. And it's so funny to put the blame on Youngkin, who wasn't on the ballot, but the fear that he might enact right-wing policies is what drove people to the polls in Virginia. But you can't, if you're a Republican, you cannot talk about the policy. You can't say that the issues are the policies we support. It has to be something else, especially if you're Steve Bannon, who's been pushing these policies, for his entire career.
Yeah. They're really just a bunch of losers. That's it, which makes them dangerous. But this is this new? Oh, this is different. Ivanka in the trial. Marjorie Taylor Greene warns the GOP will rue the day Trump is finally gone. What is? Okay, let's see. Republicans did not lose because of abortion itself. It's how the party handles the issue, or rather does not handle this issue, she said. And there are bigger growing problems. Republicans are losing Republican voters because the base is fed up with weak Republicans who never do anything to actually stop the communist Democrats. Our voters are not inspired to vote for a party who wants to play nice and refuses to hold accountable communists who locked everyone down during the scandemic. This drives me crazy more than anything ever. I do not understand how Republicans pretend like Donald Trump wasn't the president when all of that shit happened.
Right.
Like,
right.
What? Like, it was he was the president when it happened, and he supported all of it because he had to.
Right.
It's so stupid. And that is like the number one worst thing that could ever. The whole goddamn country was shut down for a year while he was president. Well, let's not talk about that. The economy that's better now than it was. Whatever. Okay, so violated their free speech and censored us on you got censored on social media. Oh no.
That's actually the worst thing that can happen to you as a person.
Yeah.
God forbid. Worse than dying of a preventable disease.
So terrible. I got a couple of tweets blocked. I could just go to another site and talk the same shit, but
right.
It's political enemies and it's persecuting people, rips our border open to the entire world and floods our country with millions of unknown people and terrorists.
Unknown people.
Yeah, just millions of them. Funds every foreign war, but refuses to defend its own border, and sexually grooms our children to the point they are cutting off their own body parts to change their gender before they even finish growing up.
Another massive losing issue for the Republicans.
Massive losing issue because it's not really happening at all. And
most people are not like pedophilic freaks obsessed with children's genitals like Republicans are. So
Isn't that so strange? I mean, we know this, but it's like, imagine being an adult and it's just like, I wake up like, oh, children's genitals are being, like that's. Yeah, man, these people are fucking weird, man. But that's why they're losing. Okay, what every poll shows it to the dismay of Trump-hating establishment Republicans and Trump-deranged Democrats who are both united to their quest to stop Trump. I want to see the rue the day. Just wait until the Republican Party finds out how bad turnout will be once the days of Trump rallies and Trump on the ticket are finally gone. Can't come fast enough because,
right.
God, I mean, really, we need to everybody needs to be able to move on from this dude, and that ain't gonna happen. But you know what? Even after this race, like Republicans, they're never gonna stop talking about this, ever, literally ever.
Right.
So here we go. This is the last one that we got. The last review for the day. Fox News host after GOP losses. What's most important? Republicans taking over. They want to win. They want to win, and they should want to win. But let's see what's up. They hit it. Hold on, we're gonna have to open it up here. My bad. Hold on. Get on this other page. Oops, my bad. Hold up. Now you're out of here. Hold up.
I'm back.
You're back, but I have the wrong page up. I think. Okay, yes, here we go. This one.
was extremely or very important, and only 32% said that it was moderate or not important.
It's nearly 7 in 10. Republicans have to figure out what their messaging is, like Brian was saying, in order to go forward in the next election. We looked at this midterm election as a way to gauge how Republicans or how Democrats react going forward for 2024. So Republicans need to look at all of these numbers and really think about what's more important. Yes, most people that are Republicans are probably pro-life, and we love our babies, and I love being a mother, but what's most important? Republicans taking over and Republicans being able to keep our country.
Well, the other thing.
And it's so, I mean, and what do they mean when they say that? It's always been so in your face. Keep our country from who?
Right.
From the blacks and the gays and the Latinas, and I mean, and they don't hide it. You feel me? Like, they don't hide it at all.
I love that she's dancing around what she's actually trying to say, which is stop talking about abortion, stop running as pro-life candidates. But she can't even muster up the courage to actually say that. She has to say it like, I love being a mother and we love our little babies.
But you kind of gotta be in office in order to pass stuff, you know.
Right.
Yeah, just ultimately, they're not gonna get it together. They're gonna become more authoritarian, at least in the short term. They're gonna triple down on everything because that's all they got left. And until Donald Trump's out of the picture, he is the party. And that's not going to change. Good show out for Democrats. And ultimately, that's a good sign that the majority of the country still believes in things like the democratic process. The majority of the country doesn't want women to have their rights taken away from them more and more and more. Most people are drawing a line in the sand, and I think that that's very promising. And also, I think it's important for the progressive movement now that, a lot of us grew up inspired by, progressive leaders, and a lot of progressive leaders throughout history have played huge roles in making a change. And I think going forward, a lot of the change that needs to be made is going to involve us getting our behinds in office.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it may not be us individually, but it could be a friend, it could be family, it could be your coworker. It really is our responsibility to make this world a better place. Otherwise, why should anybody else do it? We got to encourage people. So any words you want to close out with?
Yeah, I'll just end by saying when it comes to the electoral process and getting progressive change, put in place, particularly at the state and local level. But let's take a second and look at Congress. Who are the bravest people in Congress right now? Who are the best Congress people? It's people like Rashida Tlaib. It's Cori Bush. It's Ilhan Omar. Right. And what we need to do is restructure the Democratic Party so that they are the leaders of the party, not the people being censured for having, for taking a brave stance and standing up to genocide. We didn't talk about it, but absolutely one of the most absurd fucking racist displays that not just the Republicans, the Democrats could possibly have made yesterday on the floors of Congress. But we see these people and we rightfully see that they are, progressive leaders, and we need to emulate that and the state and local levels and we need to back them up at the federal level, right? Because the change that's going to come from them needs to come with a huge surgence of progressive candidates winning to support them and support their policies in Congress.
Yes. Well, all right. I think that was definitely a good one. Me and Ray, I think it'll, with the election coming up, I think we'll definitely be able to make a lot of good content, keep people up to date, and also have some good discussions, because I'm sure we're not going to agree on everything naturally. So I'm looking forward to next time. I will be on tomorrow, normal time, and stick with it. We got Saturday morning cartoons and shit. We got to find the right ones because we got shut down last time. We was watching,
No.
what was it, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. I had never heard of that shit, but it was kind of cool. But yes, appreciate all of y'all for joining us, and I will see y'all tomorrow morning. Have a good one.